Is this the next Poly legend? Well, stay tuned and find out. I'm Paul Bloom, and this is In My Humble Opinion. I'm so happy to finally see something that really gets me excited in the headset space. There's been a bit of a lull for some time, in my opinion, of course. And to see this new product from Poly is super exciting. Not only is it really a high-end earpod type wearing style, but it also brings together a whole bunch of technologies that have been around for a long time and really aggregates all of these together in one product. It's setting a new standard for pods, and I hope to see similar innovations in this space moving forward. Let's get to unpacking this little guy. Inside, of course, is the little guide that shows you that you can use the PolyLens app, which I highly recommend. Great app. Allows you to do all the updates and some configuration and so on. And also some guidance on how to fit it in your ear. This is great because it gives you an idea of where it needs to be placed so that you get that optimal experience. It also shows you how to replace the little buds, which I will demonstrate for you shortly. We also have a QR code there to download the app if you're having to look for it. Just opening up the case over here, great little packaging, really firm, well packaged, and we have a little box in the front of the packaging, some content in there, and let's just have a look. Nothing else in there to worry about. In there is some cables, two of them actually, and inside here are my different size earbud inserts. Looking at the two cables real quickly, you'll see one of them is a charging cable and the other one's a USB-C cable with a 3.5mm jack on there. That'll come in really handy when you're on a plane and you're trying to use your little earpods. You could just plug the 3.5 into the plane socket and then use this charging case as a dongle, as a connector. Okay, let's look at the actual charging case itself. I'll open that real quickly with this little sticky bit that comes on over here. You'll notice at the back that there's the USB-C socket, so that's for charging, of course, and also the button, which is a pairing button over there. That's the pairing button. And on the front, it's a very nice unit. It's a little bit bigger than your usual sort of cases, but considering what it does, it is actually very cool. I'm going to flip it open just real quickly and have a look inside. There are my two units and a nice handy little dock for my USB dongle. This is great news. This is something that often gets lost, and so it's really nice to see that they've thought of that. It's not just laying in there loose and it just kind of pops out, and also magnetically attached for both of the ear pods. They're labeled as well R and L for left and right. Just looking at this pod real quickly, it looks flash. Look at that. Really nice looking unit. It looks like quality. There's the two little charging points and a little rubbery bit that goes into the ear, or the ear inserts. Look at the other unit as well. You'll see as I turn the case over here, it shows me three things. It shows me the charging volume, or the battery percentage on the case, and the two earpods. I'll pop the pods back in so that it can read their battery status. I love how this sticks in here, eh? Really nice. They're not just going to go missing or fall out. Close the case and you will see that everything's fully charged. So looking at the actual pods themselves, we've got this little rubber bit which is really soft, and it doesn't just pop off. So I like that. It seems to be made of quite a resilient material, and it clips on. I don't know if you can see that. There's a little round plastic washer over there, and so the attaching to the actual pod isn't a stretching of, say, the rubber bit that goes into your ear, but instead it is a little clip, a little round, almost like a little washer, and applying a bit of pressure and click, on it goes, and there she sits. I really like that. That looks like it's going to last a long time. Let's have a look at the actual controls on the touchpad on the charging or carry case. We've got the power there that shows you the charge that's held within the case and the two pods, with a little music sign that we can go in there with a little music note. We can skip forward, skip back, pause, play. We can also adjust the volume, which is quite handy. So remember that this is all remotely, because this is the case instructing the pods what to do. What else do we have over there? We've got the ANC button over here, which allows us to go from adaptive to transparency, which is kind of like talk through. We've got the adaptive ANC, the standard ANC, and then entirely off. Of course, you want to see how that works, and we'll do a little demo later on how that actually sounds. And there's a second page. You scroll there, we can go to Bluetooth. We've got our Bluetooth transmitter. That's if you're using that aeroplane 3.5mm jack cable. And then, of course, you can pair devices. If you have a look over there, there's my devices, my dongle, my phone, but I also have another device, my iPad. Look at that. So I can switch between devices as I need to, which is quite handy. And then there's lock. I don't know if you saw that. I touched the lock and it locked. Touch the unlock three times, three dots, and it unlocks. Boom. Why? So that's very handy for when the unit's in your pocket and you accidentally do some touch dialing and that sort of stuff. So it's just to block it out. Let's have a look at a phone call. I've got a phone call coming in there right now. Touch the case, remotely answered the phone call. Yes, that's cool, eh? You can mute and unmute, you can volume up, volume down, and of course, disconnect. What? Right, and then I found this. It's using this little Qi standard where you have wireless charging. I stick the little box, little case on the wireless charger, boom, starts charging. How good is that? What I've done now is I've switched over to the actual units. You can see them in my ears over there, and I am now using these units to record my voice. And so instead of using my usual Yeti, which, let's be honest, is probably a really high standard, I'm using these instead. So this is going to give you a feel for what the audio sounds like in the same environment which my entire review has been on so far. Right now I'm still using my Yeti, and you might be able to hear the noisy cafe environment behind me. I do want to point out as well that for some reason my voice is getting a little bit croaky, so that's also to be taken into account. I'm going to switch over my recording to my pods, and so that you can see if my pods do better than my Yeti does. Not that my Yeti is designed to pull out the background noise, but to see how the ANC works in this noisy environment. Right, so I've switched over now to my pods, and I'm in exactly the same noisy environment you just heard me before in the Yeti. And I will point out that my experience as the end user is that I have to be quiet and listen to be able to pick up the cafe sounds behind me. But other than that, I can actually hear pretty well. I can hear quite nicely. That is the active noise cancelling doing its job in making sure you can hear me and not so much the cafe, and that I too can hear you in turn. Honestly, I have to say that Polly, you have done an amazing job in developing these units. It's the coming together of multiple technologies that have been out for a while, but finally realizing those in a single product. We've seen this sort of shape of pod for quite some time now. The ones that I typically come across have a very hard tip, which means they're really hard wearing on the ears. After a while, it starts to hurt. It starts to be agitated. I've worn these for 4 or 5 hours at a time without any issue. The other thing is, once you put them in, I don't know if you saw, I just press and hold. They're in there. They do not move. You can go jogging with these guys. They stay there. It's the only pods that I found that don't fall out. That's brilliant. And I'm talking ear pods, of course. The little soft bit and the way that it clips out, you put your nail in behind that little clip and you clip it out and it clips in. That means you don't have to tug on the little rubber bits, potentially tearing or stretching the little ear bits, which is great. Then there is this touch motion. That again is something that's not new, but it's the first time I've seen it. It culminated again in the single product where you can swipe to volume up, volume down. You also have buttons, so you've got the little button. What we have on there is we've got accept call, we've got hold, we've got play, we've got Bluetooth pairing, and we can even use our Google or Siri or whatever by pressing and holding it for 2 seconds. So some clever stuff. The other thing that I really like is you can use either of these guys and you can interchange them. So you don't have to use just the, you don't have like a master right, and without the right, the left is useless. It's not like that. You can use either or as you please and swap over. The controls are available on both units. They're identical in that way. The wireless charging of the case, if I haven't mentioned that before, is great. There's also, you can configure that when you take your pods out of your ear and put them in the case, if you're on a Teams call, that the calls automatically transfer to your mobile. Honestly, it's a great product. I've been using these guys for about 3 weeks now, and I cannot fault them. Honestly, I cannot fault them. The active noise cancelling for an in-ear unit is pretty good. I'm going to be using these guys a lot more, and honestly, the amount of sweat and frustration you may get from the pressure of a over-the-ear type unit, this is a really good option. And I know initially you might look at the price and go, that's steep, but compared to other high-end units like the Apple AirPods, and take into account all the additional functions and features, it's actually a pretty good deal. I honestly, get out there, get yourself a pair, have a play, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Thank you for watching. I'm Paul Bloom, and this has been In My Humble Opinion.